Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about your new film, Brotherly Lies. Oh my God, it was so good. And
Thank you.
How did this where did the idea come from for this movie?
Well, Brotherly Lies is actually the plot of the film, kind of the idea I've been wanting to make for quite a long time, actually. It's been kind of a personal project that it's always been percolating. And this was just about December 2020, at the height of the pandemic raging. And I had been feeling pretty frustrated, obviously, and not, very insecure about what was going to happen with the industry or any of that. And so finally, I just said, is there something I could do here, where I'm living now, that could be done quickly, safely? Is that possible? And we also came up with an idea about like a technical experiment. We came up with a different kind of camera rig that I had never used before, we'd never tried, in which kind of one person could have everything on the rig. All the sound would be synced automatically. Everything would be slated automatically. We didn't need a slate. So all the takes would be marked, and also it would deliver a great image. So we kind of wanted to see if it could be a real all-in-one thing. And in addition to that, we had all the actors mic'd, and so we just wanted to see if we could do it very quickly. And I reached out to actors that I had known or worked with before, told them what the story was, and that, we'd shoot it in 7 days, and, we'll take all the COVID precautions. The space we're in has a lot of airflow. It's big. It's not a lot of contained spaces. And off we went. And so I wrote the script. I'd had it kind of in pieces, but then I really organized it. And we pulled it together and shot it in 7 days. Yeah.
Yep. And speaking of the actors you worked with, I recognized Pano right away from Crisis Hotline, which was on my top 20 a couple of years back. Because that was such a great movie, and he did a phenomenal job in this film. So it was great seeing him again in more of a lead role rather than.
Yeah, Pano was great. I had always wanted a good excuse to work with Pano again, and this time, I sent him the script, and I kind of said, pick a part, in a way, like pick Shane or Lex or or Kenny. Which one do you want? And he wanted Lex. And I was really glad about that, because he wanted to do something really different. And so he grew his hair out, he got kind of shaggy, and I loved working with him on this. And he loved, I think, having the opportunity to really do something different from Crisis Hotline.
Right.
And I think he found it a great experience, and he did a terrific job. It was really terrific.
The whole cast, I thought, did a tremendous job. From Jose to David and Rob, they all did. They did. I mean, the whole cast was great, and I liked the little twists in the film with what we learned about Lex. We learned, why we knew what he did, but as the film progresses, we kind of get the little subtleties of why he did what he did all those years ago. Until bam, it hits you.
That was one of the things that, I guess, if there is a kind of a theme that I was exploring a bit, is how people process trauma in different ways, and no one deals with loss the same way.
Right.
And even though David and Lex are brothers and they shared a traumatic event, they're both processing the fallout from that very differently.
Right.
And I want to do it without judgment. And I tried to do that. That they're both damaged people. Everybody in here is dealing with some kind of damage that they've had to deal with, and they're doing the best they can. And they're all in love with the wrong people, and but they have to express it.
Yep. And I also like the fact that there's these little kind of like love triangles or a love story within it. You're even in the movie.
I am.
You're Harry, and I knew right away, like, that was you when I first saw him. Like, wait a minute, that's I go, Mark's in this movie too. Wow, how did that happen? Did that happen like by chance, or you just said,
it was not? No, it was not intentional. I had always planned to cast somebody in that part, somebody else. I looked at some demo reels. I was definitely looking local, because I was already bringing Pano and Jose and Jacob up from LA. They were all coming up, and I wanted somebody local. And there was one person I thought would be very interesting, but they declined, probably because of the COVID issue, which I wasn't surprised by. I mean, I was expecting that, but time was getting tight, and two of my producers, well, Mark Balunas and Tim Sika, were the ones that really encouraged me at first to say, you should do it. And I was pretty dismissive of the idea originally. It's not that I haven't acted before. I did act in high school. I have acted in independent films and stuff here and there, but I'm not an actor. I'm not a trained actor, really. I've always said, I'm great in like a 2-line part, then I'm fine, but with all the other things I was dealing with as far as scheduling and essentially being the first AD on set as well as the director, it starts to add up. And now I got to memorize monologues and all that. But they were very encouraging, as well as, it was funny because my husband, Steven, was really handling a lot of the production coordination and a lot of the budget stuff. And he said, Mark, if you do this, if you act in it, it makes the scheduling easier and we'll save, a few $1,000s. And I went, why not? And it also just made it an easier COVID protocol, with masks and wiping down everything and individual, catering and all of that stuff that we did. So in I went. And surprisingly, once I did the first setup as an actor, which was rusty, but then I started to really get into it. I actually got to enjoy it again. And I kind of remembered why I did enjoy acting at one time when I was younger. And luckily the cast was just really encouraging and very supportive and even gave me some good tips. I asked them a few pointers here and there, like, how would you approach this scene? And they were very helpful, and I ended up enjoying it more than I thought. So it was mainly definitely not an ego thing. It was much more a scheduling and a financial reason for me to do it.
Well, that's good because I gotta say you did a great job in the role of Harry.
Thank you.
Because just from your first scene where you're showing Kenny, the pool thing, and then you're slowly revealing your feelings to Lex, how you're feeling about him. Just from all that, you were natural, dude. It was like totally natural on the set.
Thank you.
It didn't.
It was a part I did realize I could play it. I'm the age of that character. I can, we've all had that experience of having feelings for someone that they're not necessarily returned. So that was the other thing. If I really thought I couldn't play it, I wouldn't have. I would have found something else. But they talked me into it. It worked out fine.
Yeah, I think everyone did a good job with this film. And what I'm liking today about the LGBTQ films today is that, back in the old days, there was a certain stereotype about how they're portrayed. The whole flamboyant thing. Nowadays, you don't get that, and I'm glad that it's because we're in a world now where it's totally acceptable, and you get to see, they're just normal, they're just regular people like us, and they, it comes off naturally, they don't have to force themselves to act a certain way, and I think that's what's important.
Yeah, it's weird. I was always a big fan of that documentary, The Celluloid Closet, and Harvey Fierstein is interviewed in that, and he said he didn't mind the sissy in movies, which was portrayed in a lot of films back in the day. And he said, because I'd rather have negative than nothing. And so growing up, you're right, I didn't see many films that reflected what I thought my life would be, growing up in the 80s, as a Gen Xer, but I was grateful for anything. I was grateful for anything. And maybe that does inform some of the choices I make, because Crisis Hotline, and I don't know what'll happen with this, but my films don't have like a political axe to grind. That's not the stories I want to tell. I don't think there's anything wrong with those stories, but that's just not what I want to tell. I want to just tell stories that happen to have gay characters in it. Yeah. And mainly it's because I'm aware of that world. I know I can draw on a lot from that.
Right.
Although I want to work in every genre, of course. But this one with Brotherly Lies, I also wanted to do I wanted to try and create atmosphere. I wanted to try and create a world of its own that an audience can just get wrapped up in the story and not be preached to, not be yelled at, not be, told what to think. Just get involved and got to see how this plays out. That's what it ultimately comes
I gotta
down
tell
to.
you, Crisis Hotline, you pulled that one off. I was totally intrigued with the story because it had such a great concept with, Danny calling up Simon, the hotline saying that he's going to kill these 3 people for ruining his life before killing himself. And then we get the flashbacks of the events building up to it. And I just saw it as, I did not see it as no political thing. I see it as a kid coming from, coming to a new land, starting a new life. And he got screwed over. He thought he was in this great relationship. And then I also felt bad for Panos' character because he was forced to do what he did. That
he was trapped.
He was
trapped. Definitely trapped. He was definitely
so
trapped.
It was like he was forced into that, and I felt bad for him. And then, I thought that cast was amazing too. I actually gave Christian Gabriel the first ever best male performance award for Crisis Hotline because he did. Oh my
gosh! How come I didn't know that?
It's on the YouTube. It's on the YouTube channel. But I gave him.
Oh, I got it. Does he know that?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I gotta let him know.
If he doesn't, but he did. He did such a. I thought he was phenomenal in that role.
Well, and it's interesting because Brotherly Lies, of course, is very different from Crisis Hotline. It's it has obviously serious elements, but I think it's a much more. It's not as dark. I mean, it's more of a. This one is much more of a.
It was
kind
of
a
definitely tense. It was definitely tense.
Oh yeah, no, there is.
But it was but like you said, it wasn't dark. But it felt like a real life situation that anyone could be involved in. Despite
it. The other thing too that was great about this was, first of all, I was so glad that all the technical stuff worked because we were really rolling the dice on a lot of things with this. Because we really didn't have much of a crew. I mean, we literally had a crew of 3. I mean, that was it, a crew of 3 to do this. And, could we make, and it's a testament to the technology today because I love the way it looks. I love the way it all came together. Mark Balunas did a great job editing it. On Crisis Hotline, we both edited that. Mark edited all the Crisis Center scenes and I edited all the scenes that weren't in the Crisis Center. This time, it was really helpful for me to turn over the editing to Mark Balunas and I could work on the sound mix because the sound mix was challenging, I will say, because we didn't use a boom mic. We didn't use that because I needed the actors to be moving all over the place. And so we had to individually mic all of them. And to have all of that be able to go in and be synced instantly onto the SSD. That's where my husband's very helpful with that because he understands sound very well. He was a music engineer and he knows how to make all that plug in. And then using the Ninja to mark all the scenes, so we didn't need another slate person. I mean, we ran the leanest ship I've ever ran on a film production. And it actually worked. It did. And Mark, that's what's great about my co-business partner in Diamond in the Rough Films. Mark is important in many ways, but as an editor, it's especially gratifying that I never need to fix his work. I mean, it's basically, he knows exactly how I want it done. He's got a very good eye. He's a good director himself too. And him being able to do that and me being able to do all the sound mixing was really convenient. It allowed us to work a lot quicker and certainly a lot cheaper. And being able to create that lighting. I mean, we had 2 lights the whole movie basically, and there's a number of those scenes that are literally lit with a candle. I mean, a single candle. That's it.
Wow.
And yeah, like the scene with Pano and Jacob at the bar, where I love that scene. That's such a good scene because that's like Shane, Jacob's character Shane, that's like he finally kind of tries to empathize with Lex there. He really tries to give him his heart as much as he's able to. He's trying to be honest with him. And that whole sequence was one candle, literally, one candle lit that. And I also gained, the other thing I gained through the Brotherly Lies experience, I learned how to color grade. I mean, I knew color grading a bit, but nothing that to this extent. because we shot it in, an S-Log, which, when you get that footage, it's all just bland. I mean, because you have the whole range of colors to work with. And I'd never had that level of work to do on color grading. I've done little tweaks, very different from Crisis Hotline. Crisis Hotline, Dante Yor, brilliant cinematographer that he kind of, because we were on such a deadline with that, he kind of baked in the look. So I only had to do little minor tweaks and it was great. But this time it wasn't baked in. I had to create it. And that was a great experience, though. I learned a lot. And I'm just really, what we've got now has really, I don't want to say it came out better than I expected, but I think the look is better than I expected. I will say that.
Yeah.
What the look came out with, I was really surprised with it. I was really surprised. I mean,
That's the great thing with indie films, like, especially with someone who's, gradually start, doing more and more films. They're learning as they go along, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you just mentioned, you learned how to do the whole color grade yourself and
everything. A lot more. Yeah, I got a lot better at it, that's for sure. And it's very gratifying to hear how you appreciated the film, because for me, I grew up going to the movies. I loved going to movies, and there was always such a variety of films. And lately, I have to say, I've seen a lot of, I'm not saying there isn't a variety of films, but a lot of the ones that seem to get on the radar, they feel similar. I was wondering do you feel that as well?
I like a lot of the Hollywood blockbusters, I feel like they're redundant. They're just like the same thing.
It's kind of the same movie being made over and over. And I've also been seeing that a bit in the indie scene too. And so that also informs my choices a little bit, in that when I want to make something, I want to make something that at least I haven't seen before.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of films, and that's one of the things that I kind of bank on, is that I hope people will see that they haven't seen this before. It's not, like I said, it doesn't have a political agenda. It's not angry. It's not trying to preach at you. It's just telling a story about people and how they have to deal with this situation, all in their own ways. And hopefully it looks and sounds good and holds your attention for,
I will say this, when I watching a movie, I felt like if you ever go to a Broadway show or like one of those old stage plays, off Broadway stage plays where it's all dramatic, I felt like it was that brought to life in with this film, because as you mentioned, the way everyone moved around and that was a smart move. That's good you didn't use a boom mic, because I kept worrying that you were going to see a boom mic at one part. But now that you told me that you actually mic'd the actors, I think that's the like smartest thing. I think filmmakers can learn from you to do that, instead of having to rely always on a boom mic, depending on what they want.
Well, you got to be careful with it too, though, because one thing we learned with the mics, because they're wirelessly mic'd, they were wirelessly mic'd. It's funny, we had tested these mics at our condo, where I lived, and they worked perfectly. Well, the location that we shot at, which is actually my father's house, the location we shot at is built very differently. It's got steel doors. It's got much thicker glass. And we realized, we have to alter some things, because it was so well made, it would cut the signal off sometimes. That was a challenge. We had to adjust with that. I learned that lesson very quickly. And the other problem is, not problem, but the other thing you're going to run into once the film is done, the one really good thing that a boom mic does is it gives you the ambience of the room. Well, when you have mics, you just have the dialogue, basically. So you really have to create a soundscape from scratch. I mean, with the boom, you still get footsteps, you still get doors opening. You don't get any of that with a lab mic. So every footstep, every door, every has to be put in, every glass clink. And I did all of that too. I mean, that took a lot of work, but I also enjoy the process, so it's fine.
That's what's important. Everyone gets worried about money, like, how much money is this movie going to make? I just, from what I feel like if you enjoyed making the movie, that should be good enough.
It's where, making films it's where I'm at my best. It's it's funny, somebody asked me recently, was this harder to do than Crisis Hotline? And Post-production was harder on Brotherly Lies than Crisis Hotline. There was just a lot more that went into it. But in a way, I would say to shoot this one in a way was a little bit easier because we just had the one location. It's a big location. There's lots of spots on it, but it was just one location, very little crew. The actors were up for it. They were game for it. And it was, we kind of were forced to move quickly. Whereas with Crisis Hotline, we had a lot of company and we had a lot of company moves, and we also had a lot more darker like sex scenes, take a long time to do. I learned. So in a way, they were easy. It's kind of a wash, no feature film is simple or easy.
No,
it really isn't. But it's always incredibly satisfying. That's for sure.
That's awesome. And I think everyone needs to definitely check out Brotherly Lies. They also need to check out Crisis Hotline. They got, seriously, I mean, these were like two great films that you've done.
Well, I'm gonna make a couple of announcements here for you.
Let's hear them. We're all ready.
First here, you're hearing it first here. We reacquired the rights to Crisis Hotline back from our distributor. We are repackaging it. We are going to put it back under its original title, which is Shadows in Mind. I have recolored it now with my new experience of color grading. We have a new soundtrack for it, whole new sound mix, new score, all brand new score, including a soundscape that is really going to be incredible. And I've even done a little bit of editing. There's some slight edits.
Are you saying we're getting a director's cut? Is that what you're
definitely, well, no, and not, I won't say a director's cut. You're getting an updated cut.
There you go. That's all right. That's a better way to say it.
Yes, but still, those Crisis Hotline DVDs do have that great commentary with me and Tim Sika on it. But we are going to be, like I said, repackaging it, putting it out in a whole different way. It's a very different feel. It also has a different beginning. It begins differently. I'm really excited about it, especially with the new score. It feels like a whole different movie in a way, and I will make sure you get to see it first.
Oh, that's awesome! Oh my God,
it's almost done. So that
sounds great.
That's happening with that. Brotherly Lies is going to. I can also announce that it will go live June 17th, and it's going to premiere on the Fearless Network. It's going to be on Fearless on June 17th. And so that is where you'll be able to check out Brotherly Lies. It is going to be eventually on other channels and stuff. There's one channel in particular that has already licensed it, but that's going to go on there in a while. That's a way off. But June 17th, Fearless, you'll definitely be able to see it. And I encourage everyone, you can get a 7-day free trial to check it out. And definitely do that.
Everyone, I gotta say, guys, this was a really good movie, and if you're able to get the trial, do it, because this movie's definitely worth it for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I think it's a little different than what you might see, and how did someone put it to me once? They said this is a perfect movie to watch at night, have a glass of wine, get into it, and just watch it all play out.
Or even get a bunch of friends, if you just want something, nothing too crazy, just something, let's just watch a simple, just a movie about, just people. Yeah, like as you said, this is one to definitely check out.
And I think also, I don't think you need to be, I don't think your sexuality matters for it. I think you can.
Oh no, it doesn't matter.
I think gay audiences can see things in it, and straight audiences can see things in it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm straight, and I love these type of movies. Just there's no stereotypes or nothing like like what we're used to. It's just a movie about people going through, like you said, they just go through a traumatic event, and it's just how they handle it, and
have to deal with it
regardless of everything. So it's just wonderful. The chemistry is wonderful with the cast, and all around is a great movie. And guys, I gotta tell you, Mark was even great in it. You guys got you want to see the director in the movie. This is it, man. This is the one you got to check out.
Yeah, it might be one of your only chances. We'll see. But another thing I want to point out, which was good about Brotherly Lies, which was different than say Crisis Hotline, was I got a chance to write a really good female character for the first time. Laura was great in Crisis Hotline, but she's it's a very small part in the beginning. And I had one or two critics that said they would have liked to have seen more of her, And I said, that's fair. I could see that. So this time I really loved getting to write. Casey Semple is an actress. I've seen a lot of her work. I know her. I've worked with her a bit on other films, not as a director. I hadn't had a chance to direct her yet. And I'd always wanted to work with Casey Semple. And she's got that whole kind of, Jessica Chastain thing, she's just great. She's just always so good. And I was so glad I finally got to direct her. I'd been wanting to work with her for probably 2 or 3 years. And finally got to do it. And I was just glad that I could write a female character that I think is interesting, and she was able to do a lot with it. And I had friends of mine who've seen a lot of my work said they told me it was so nice to see you write a female character that was really interesting and good. So that felt
it
good.
was, and I especially love the part where she's talking with Shane, and the way that David constantly sugarcoats her job. And then she finally reveals the truth to Shane, what she really does. I felt like that was a pivotal moment with her character.
Yeah, it was tricky because with that, what I wanted to do, I wanted to make sure she was being candid, but not illegal.
Right.
She plays this character who works for the Office of Foreign Missions, works for the State Department, and I did some research on what they do. And sometimes they're dealing with classified stuff quite a bit, and they get to see some things. And that was this character who was becoming genuinely concerned and jaded about what she was seeing. But I said, I've got to write it so that her character would never betray state secrets. She wouldn't do anything illegal. She wouldn't reveal classified information. So that was a fun challenge to write her monologue, being candid but not breaking the law.
Exactly.
About confidentiality.
Yeah, but overall, man, this was such a great movie, and like I said, I hope everyone gets to check it out when it comes out on June 17th on the Fearless Network. And
Fearless, absolutely.
it's gonna be. I hope it resonates with people. Maybe it might resonate with someone who's been through do something similar. And
I mean, we've all been through traumatic events in certain ways, and how we deal with that changes from person to person, and how we deal with loss, and how we deal with love that either isn't returned or might not be in our best interest necessarily at that point. Bad timing. Sometimes bad timing happens, and we've all been there.
Yep.
We've all been there. And and I'm writing my next film now. Looking forward to that. I can definitely take what we learned on Brotherly Lies, and we can use some of those lessons. I don't know if I'd want to make a movie exactly like that again. I mean, the pandemic really determined a lot of that, because we had to keep things so slimmed down just for safety reasons.
Yeah.
And fortunately, no one got sick. We all got tested. Everything was fine. But it was a lot of hats. It was a lot of hats, more than your usual indie filmmaker hats. An indie filmmaker is going to wear a lot of hats, but this was quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
But in the end, I'm totally pleased with the film. I think the cast should be very proud, obviously, and I'm just glad they went on the ride, because this was before vaccines, and they deserve a lot of credit for having the faith in the project. I picked the right people, clearly. So
you did,
and I look forward to working with them again. I'll work with all of them again, that's for sure.
That's awesome. Well, guys, check out Brotherly Lies when it hits the Fearless Network on June 17th. Look out for the updated edition of Shadows in the Night.
Shadows in Mind, yeah.
Shadows in Mind. AKA
otherwise Crisis Hotline, yeah. But
Crisis Hotline.
Go back to that. And
that's exciting.
They can find me. I'm at Diamond in the Rough Films. I'm DITR Films across all social media, and they can reach out to me. I'll answer. If I can, I can answer questions if they need a pep talk or anything. I'm there. We're all in this together, so I'm accessible.
That's awesome. Well, Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about everything, and I can't wait to see everything that's coming from you next, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. You will always be kept in the loop, I promise.
All right. Awesome. Well, I hope everything's going well. You take care.
You too.
All right.